Hello and welcome to the One Up Pod. I am Andy and I'm joined by Chip.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is both of our first real games on the PlayStation 5, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's the one I always knew I wanted to play first on the PS5. Like it was a day one on the PS5 purchase kind of thing for me.
Yeah, pretty much straight away. I was going to just play mostly like games I already owned with the PS5 upgrades. Like after that, I wanted to really feel like I was playing a PS5 game. So yeah. I just bit the bullet. I only got the Miles Morales version. I didn't get the Ultimate Edition.
No, I didn't either, because I played, obviously, we did original Spooders for Pods a couple of months ago, and I just wasn't quite ready to play it again, even though I knew it was going to be all pretty and stuff like that, so I was like, I'll just go for Miles, my boy, and yeah, that was kind of what I did.
It definitely helps that it's a lot cheaper as well.
Yeah, that's definitely... and also, it's a smaller game, so, like, when I got my PS5, I got the digital version, so then I had to, like, install the PS5, set it all up, and then buy Miles Morales, and then install it, so I'm just sat there for, like, 2 hours waiting for this game to install.
Christ.
So anything bigger, like, imagine if I bought, like fucking Assassin's Creed or something like that, I would have been there for days.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think I decided on that one because it was either going to be that or Ratchet and Clank, so either way it was going to be an Insomniac game. I think I decided on this one because like it was cheaper and I loved the original Spider-Man, so I knew I was getting something good. And also, it mostly was because it was cheaper and I just spent like £450 on a fucking PlayStation 5.
Yeah, it makes a difference, doesn't it, when you haven't got to pay like 90 quid or whatever for a brand spanking new game.
Yeah.
But then I know I've got to do that again soon because I've finished it now, obviously, and now I'm like you. I'm like, well, I want a PS5 game, like something that was built for this hardware that's going to look amazing, because like you say, yeah, all the upgrades and even running a PS4 game on a PS5 makes it look even better, but I want that experience of a brand new spanking game. I want to play with my new toy.
Yeah, that was very much my thinking. Like, I think we both agree that it was a very good first purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's a lot shorter than the original Spider-Man, but I kind of like that in a way. You know me. I've been playing the same game for about 6 months now.
Yeah.
So to play something that was a lot shorter was actually really nice. And I get that sometimes after I played like The Witcher 3 last year, and that was 250 whatever hours. Just playing something small. Well, anything's fucking smaller than that afterwards, isn't it? But like, yeah. Just like a small narrative after that, it just feels really nice. So I was actually okay with the length.
Yeah, I really liked the how it felt. Like it didn't, it wasn't padded out like that was one of my main criticisms of the original. There was too much busy work, like open world, like padding, and I feel like this game had a much better balance between the main story and activities to do outside of the main story. I was really satisfied with how it just how it felt, like the amount of weight to the game there was.
Yeah, it's kind of like they scaled down all the collectibles and like the little side quests and that sort of thing to make it fit for how long the actual main narrative was.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing this time as I did on the original Spider-Man, which is I went around and I collected all of those. I did all the side quests first, and then I did the main missions. Just because I didn't like to break them up so much. I wanted to get into the story and see what was going to happen, and and it kind of annoyed me when other like little side collecting bits opened up later in the main story, and I'm like, well, I've just done all that. I've done all the busy work. Give me my main now. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think I kind of just went 1-1 sort of thing. I'd do a bit of a story, then a bunch of like side stuff. Other than the challenges and stuff, I just started to fob off because I was like, I was fed up with them on the main game as well. So it was.
Yeah, if I got bronze, I was happy and I moved on. That was it. I don't care about gold. I'm done.
Yeah, like the main side thing I was focusing on was the cat storyline with all the different cats. That was my main focus. I know,
same.
Yeah.
And when I found out that you can actually get the suit until like you'd finished the main thing, that is probably my main criticism of the game, is that I wanted the cat suit for the entire run.
Yeah.
But I guess at least I could play with some of the other suits in the meantime, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the Into the Spider-Verse suit alone is like absolutely incredible. I loved that. That was the amount of attention to detail on that thing was phenomenal. Like I was really impressed with that one.
Just the way it moves and like all the sound effects and the fights. I think I went a bit overboard with I love a photo mode anyway, but especially in Spider-Man. If anyone follows me on Twitter, they'll have seen that I was a bit obsessed with sharing pictures. Yep. But yeah, as soon as I found that one, and it was like, oh my god, there's like sound effects when you punch people. This is the best. And it eased the pain of not having the cat suit for a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't finish the cat thing until I'd finished the main story. I kind of got so sucked into the main story that I forgot eventually about all the side stuff. But yeah, like once I got the cat suit, I was like, I'm going to spend a couple of hours riding around like this with my new friend.
Yeah. Oh, and photo mode came back into that as well when
Yeah.
the cat is helping you fight. I was like, well, I need to document this. Obviously, this is very important. What did you think of the story in general?
It took a little while for me to get into it, but like because I wasn't really familiar with the Tinkerer. I know they've changed the Tinkerer like quite drastically for the game, like changed the origins and who it is and all that stuff. But I really liked once I. Should we? I'll try to avoid spoilers.
Do you want to spoiler one? Yeah, we can avoid spoilers. I think.
Yeah,
we can talk very generally. Yeah.
Yeah, I just liked the. I ended up liking the Tinkerer as an antagonist, and it was quite a limited number of villains in this one because the game is a lot smaller. So like, I liked how many villains there were in it, and how there was sort of the game kind of had its own version of Norman Osborn, like it's like a evil tech billionaire sort of thing that was antagonizing the like Miles's foe in the thing. So there was a lot of parallels, but I liked that as a way of showing that Miles and Peter are very much like on the same level. It was quite good. That was quite a nice little detail.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and we won't go into any details in that case, but like there was a villain that turned up that is returning from the first game, and I kind of liked how that was dealt with in terms of it was Miles dealing with it as Spider-Man now and stuff.
Yeah,
and I think the reveal of who the villain is pretty much signposted and obvious early on.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was a massive surprise, but I didn't need that. I really liked how Miles dealt with that, his reactions to it, and how that all kind of played out through the rest of the story.
Yeah, it felt the stakes were like quite personal.
Yes.
For Miles, it
yeah.
was very much about Miles like working out how to be Spider-Man and taking on this new responsibility, and the story like got bigger as it went along, but it had that basic core of like being about Miles learning to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely, and that was really cool to see because I think that would have been difficult to do in the next game. So I like that they've really got him kind of set up and established as a Spider-Man now, and like I liked that it felt kind of local. Like you can still, New York is open to you to go wherever the heck you like, and it does go all over. But like, you're in like Harlem, Brooklyn, like those kind of communities where it kind of, where Miles is based, and that's his kind of area. And I liked that it felt like it was all kind of taking place there.
Yeah, it definitely put like the friendly neighborhood part into Spider-Man a lot more than the first game. Like, because the stakes in the first game were just so big all the time, and Spider-Man had an entire city to care about, whereas Miles is a bit more focused on Harlem and like his mother and his friends, and I think it was a really good way of like showing that these Spider-Men are part of the community. I thought it did a lot better job of that than the original game.
Do you know? I think that might be. I love the newest, like the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. But I think that kind of friendly neighborhood Spider-Man aspect of it is kind of lost a little bit. Like, I'd like to see one with him just in New York. They looking after that kind of side of things. But like it really worked for Miles, and I'm glad we got a bit of that in the game.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, my favourite part of the Tom Holland movies was the scene where he's eating a churro on the fire escape because he helped an old lady out. That felt the most Spider-Man part of all those movies. And
yeah, absolutely.
I got that vibe from Miles. Like, he's very much part of the community as Miles and as Spider-Man. And the community responds to him. Like, they acknowledge him as a Spider-Man as the story goes along. There's this hesitance about accepting him as Spider-Man overall, but like it's about him proving to himself and to his community that he is the real deal and he deserves to be a Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think it's really lovely the way that all plays out as well. Like, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice little feel-good story. I loved the sequence where Miles decides to create his own suit with.
Yes.
It wasn't quite the leap of faith scene from Into the Spider-Verse, but it was on that kind of vibe. Where like it was just so exhilarating to see him become himself and choose his own path rather than being like try to copy Peter. Because I mean it's not a proper spoiler because this is very early in the game, but he gets a costume off Peter, and it's like a kind of rough version of what Peter's costume looks like.
Yeah, it's like a hand-me-down, isn't it? It's like a Peter old suit.
Yeah, it looks a bit like Spider-Man pajamas, like official pajamas that you'd buy for like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, I definitely don't own those.
I wish I owned those. No one needs to know how I sleep, though.
Well, that's another podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited then for Spider-Man 2 because it looks like we're going to get more Miles along with Peter. For anyone who's seen the trailer that dropped recently. I would have been like bloody excited for the game anyway, but knowing that it's Miles and Peter, and I don't know, there's part of me is like, I hope we can kind of play as both and it's kind of quite an even game.
Yeah, I'm thinking the way it's played out, like there's going to be an even split, and maybe you get to, like I said in the main Spider-Man podcast we did, my dream for that game would be like a GTA 5 mechanic where you can switch between the two characters whenever you want, including during fight scenes, like kind of like what Arkham Knight did with Batman, and when he was one of his like sidekicks, they could jump between the two characters and stuff like that. That'd be really cool.
I would lose my shit.
Like,
I'd lose my shit.
I really loved the combat in this game. Like, I loved what they added to the game with Miles and his unique powers, like the Venom strikes.
Yeah, they were really fun to play with, and looks really good visually as well.
Yes, it really made the most of like the capabilities of a PlayStation 5, the vibrant colours and like just the flash of light and reflection and all that stuff. It just looks really, really visually distinct from what we've seen in the other game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this game does a really good job of feeling kind of familiar, but it's got its own flavour. Like New York looks completely different. The music's got a bit of more of a youthful vibe to it.
Yeah,
I've loved this game really.
Yeah. It would have been so easy just to almost like reskin the first Spider-Man game and just be like, oh no, but there's another story and it's Miles. But they really did take those like small little elements and make it more tailored towards Miles as a character.
It doesn't feel like DLC, which I know some people have criticised it as being very DLC-like, but I feel like it's got its own vibe where like maybe it's a little expensive, but it's a brand new game, but like it's not as expensive as bigger games. So I feel like the price range is probably about right for what PlayStation 5 games go for. It feels like a game in its own right. I didn't feel like I paid too much money for it.
Oh, no, not at all. I was satisfied with the hours I put into it, and the length and just the narrative alone as well. Like it gives it the story has time to breathe and has bumps and everything like that. Like it's way more than DLC, absolutely. And games were this long, not that long ago before we got all our 250 plus hours or however long it's going to take me to finish Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
It's never going to end.
It's not, is it? Never.
Yeah. And it's another thing I liked about what was new in this game, like the animations. Like you said, it didn't feel like a reskin. Like the way Miles moved felt like a kid still working out how to swing, and it was really
he's so rough and like
awkward, and it just I love all the attention to detail. It was definitely not like a half-assed idea. Like it wasn't like Insomniac cashing in. Like it did feel like they put a lot of thought into how this game should play and how it should feel, right down to like the haptic feedback on the DualSense controllers.
Oh, so
which
good.
Is once I first discovered that like feature in the PlayStation 5 controller, it was like I can't do without. When a game doesn't have it, I feel kind of like let down. I love the way the triggers have a tension to them when you were swinging. It just feels a lot more like you're struggling to like swing. It just, along with like the sounds of like the Spider-Man characters make when they're talking, like to exert effort. It changes the voice track, obviously. It's kind of like that with the way your hands feel. Like it just feels like there's a struggle to swing and there's a lot of work, and it makes you feel a bit more connected to Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the first things I noticed about the PS5, like one of the main differences as well. Obviously, the quality, like the game is so pretty. Like the city looks incredible. I watched this video on YouTube the other day, which was jumping off the highest point in every Spider-Man game. And so you just seeing the progression of how the city looked through the years and stuff like that as well. And this is like it's obviously never looked better on the best hardware we've had so far of the console generations, but it's just so gorgeous. And like the depth of field, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm like, I wonder if at some point they'll open it up. Like obviously, New York, you've got the big buildings and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's a lot around there. Like my geography of that area is not great, but I mean maybe like there's a lot they could do. It just looks so pretty.
Yeah, there's like bridges and tunnels and stuff like connecting to like New Jersey and all that stuff. You could really like expand on. Like they've almost perfected New York now. There's other things they could possibly do, or like open up more indoor spaces, go underground more. Like there's just a whole wealth of ideas they could do. Just 'cause New York like looked amazing in this game. Like, the Christmas setting really helped because like the beautiful snow, it made it look really different from what we knew in the first game. The use of the Christmas lights and like just really vibrant colours, and especially in Harlem. Harlem looked absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was a bit like being in a Shane Black film at some points, and it was just like... I mean, I think the weather system could be really important for games going forward because it's just such a natural detail to add. And, you know, if it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. You know, you play older games now and you look at, like, rain effects and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh, yeah, some blurry lines coming down.
Yeah.
But this, like, the snow and the storm and everything, oh, it's just so pretty, so pretty.
And it's just, I'm a real weirdo about ray tracing, so I really love all the reflections when you're on the buildings and you can see a very clear reflection in the mirror of you, not the mirror, the windows, just things like that, just like little tiny details that aren't really important to making a game good, but it really helps immersing you. And one of the big things I love about the Spider-Man games is immersing you in that world, feeling like Spider-Man.
I had that because I was having little pervy moments where I was calling up windows and you can actually see inside them. So I was trying to like zoom in with the photo mode and see what were like the details on the desks and stuff like that. And there's a lot of like Spider-Man figures and like framed pictures of things and like newspapers and stuff like that. And that just feels like one of those little details as well. You know, just it makes that world seem even more real.
Oh yeah, they definitely changed up all the like the boxes they were using for inside the buildings, because in the original they just had to copy and paste a lot of stuff. It got real repetitive, whereas this, they could really make the most of what they had, and it just makes things feel a little more real. And New York already felt really believable in the first game, but now it feels like something else entirely. I can't wait to see how they go even further with a game that's going to be built for the PlayStation 5 rather than one.
I'm so excited. It's only 2 years. It's only got to wait 2 years. Yeah, if it doesn't get delayed, you know.
Oh, yes. It'll probably get delayed. But then again, Insomniac are pretty good about getting things out on time, so
I just don't want to get my hopes up, Andy. I don't want to be heartbroken, you know, like... 2 years is a long time.
Hopefully, like, Wolverine comes out between then.
Oh, yeah, they didn't give a release date for that, did they, in the trailer?
But for this, like, the Miles Morales came out like a couple of months before Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll just do that again, as release 2 games in the span of like 6 months, like absolute maniacs.
Yeah,
they'll both be like brilliant.
It'd be a good little, I nearly said fluffer, I meant buffer. You know, well, I guess that as well, but...
I know where your mind is now.
Hey, it's Wolverine, can you blame me? Come on.
Yeah, honestly, no. After watching that trailer, my reaction was quite visceral.
Yes, yeah. When it became clear that it was going to be what it was just, oof. I wish we'd recorded live reactions to that, actually. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it felt like a missed opportunity after seeing those trailers.
Well, how are you finding the PS5 in general? Because you've had yours longer than I have, haven't you? A few months.
Yeah, like about 2 months? Maybe a month? No, a month, maybe. Month and a half, I think. It felt like early August, I think I got it.
Okay. I thought it was earlier than that.
No, I think it was...
Maybe it just felt like that.
It felt like that because you were seething with jealousy. Imagine how Becky feels.
Oh, she's going to be so angry. Maybe Becky shouldn't listen to this next part because we're going to talk about the PS5 a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our PS5 dickhead section.
Segue. Yeah, what are your general thoughts on the PlayStation 5 first?
I really like it. I think there's definitely more to come from it. Like obviously with Miles Morales, and like it was really great. Like the load speeds and everything like that blew my mind. Like I actually sat there with a stopwatch because I'm sad like this, and timed how long it took from like the PS5 being completely off to actually being in the game, and I think it was about 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love how it feels. What you said, you talked about the controller earlier. How all the games look fantastic, like even Odyssey on it looks amazing compared to the PS4. I love how quickly it charges my phone, which is like really quick.
I've never tried that.
It's good, it works for me, yeah. But yeah, I want to try more new games, and just because I feel like there's a lot more to come from this. And I mean, mostly I'm just excited.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I think like graphically, I've hit a point where like, yeah, I can appreciate a nice looking game. I've played quite a few, but what really is grabbing me at the moment for the PlayStation 5 is the speed in which it loads.
Mm-hmm.
It's allowed, like with Miles Morales Spider-Man, like you can move around the city without worrying about any like frame rate issues, or like something like Ratchet and Clank. It's allowed you to like shift between dramatically different like locations like instantly. It's like it really sells the teleportation element of that game. Deathloop, which I've just finished playing yesterday, the progression from like when you move from one time period in the day to the other, it's like instant. And when you die, you jump straight back into the game. Like there's no loading screens to get you back in. It really helps with like the momentum of a game. They all look beautiful as well, but it's the fact that it's moving so smoothly now, and like there's no arduous wait times.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the haptic feedback, obviously that's amazing, especially for like games with like shooting elements, like just feeling the trigger difference.
I haven't tried that yet.
With Ratchet and Clank, like you definitely felt like adjust the trigger pulls and like had a different kind of response each time you pulled it. It just felt like you're using a different weapon each time depending on how you're using the triggers, and like the way it vibrates and the noises that come out of the thing, like when you like in Spider-Man, like when you're powering up a jump and you're going to jump in the air and you hear that whoop,
yes,
and then you launch in the air. I just can't get enough of that sound.
Well, yeah, because I've been playing Astro's Playroom as well, and that
Yes.
kind of that is basically a tutorial for all of that, isn't it? And just the way that game feels, it's amazing. It feels like it really does feel like a new kind of level of playing games.
Yeah, that Astro's Playroom, it's the best tech demo, one of the best tech demos I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, it might be my game of the year as well when we come to talk about that at the end of the year.
That's fair, actually. It's a really impressive little game, and it makes the absolute most of the DualSense haptic feedback. None of the games I've played, there's been a lot of really good ones that make good use of it, but that makes the best use of it so far. That shows the full potential of what they can do with a DualSense controller. It's going to be really exciting to see. The more developers get used to this hardware, the more they start experimenting with it. It's going to be really interesting because it feels like they've only scratched the surface, even with Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, because that's only, like you say, it's only a small game, basically a tech demo, but I had so much fun with it, and I think it comes from, how the controller feels and experiencing that for the first time. Like, my favourite part of that game is when you go to the little machine to get the balls out, you pull the handle, and you have to catch them and squeeze them open, and I just want all the coins so I can keep doing that all day. I don't know if that's just some sort of weird gambling addiction I have that I might need to look into, but just the feel of it, and, feeling the resistance when you're crushing the balls that come out and stuff. It was so much fun, and it just got me straight away. Like, it was such a noticeable difference from in the step up, and sometimes you might move from generation to generation, not necessarily see some of the differences right away, apart from the games looking nice. But I think with the PS5 compared to the PS4, a few of those are very noticeable right from the go.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the jump from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 wasn't that major. It took It took a good couple of years before the PlayStation 4 started to feel like its own thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, with DualSense, at the very least, it feels like the PlayStation 5 is a drastically different console to the PlayStation 4. I mean, the graphics are better, but they're not noticeably better. Like, The Last of Us Part 2 on the PlayStation 4 looks as good as most games on the PlayStation 5, but it's the haptic feedback that's really changed everything. It's made games feel different rather than look different, which I think is the next important step without delving into VR bollocks. Because who has the money for that?
My housemate, unfortunately.
Fuck.
Well, let's say he has the money for it. He treated himself to a VR headset, and it just makes me feel really nauseous, so I can't even enjoy it.
Yeah, one of my friends has a big VR addiction, so whenever I see him, he makes me play something. I'm going to walk into a wall or something. I punched a door playing Batman. I'm not designed for that sort of thing. Haptic feedback feels like my safe level of immersion.
Also, I really like that we were like, oh, who has the money for VR? And we just sat here chatting about our lovely new PS5s.
Yeah, we have that much money. That was as much money as I could possibly spend on something.
It's all the money I had in the world. I haven't eaten in 3 weeks.
I took a massive dent on my I just had to be very careful with my finances that month. It's payday's a good couple of weeks away, and then I bought a fucking Miles Morales for £50 or something. I was like, no, but this is a good, I needed to spend this to make the most of my £450 purchase. So it's just £500 all in, basically.
Yeah, it's always good when you have to spend more money to justify spending the money you already spent.
Yeah, because I couldn't get a bundle. The only thing I could get was just the base console with no extras.
Okay. See, I had to buy one that had the extra controller, which did come in handy actually in the end. But normally I would have just got what you got.
Yeah, I had to buy another. I bought the Midnight Black controller because my original controller fucking went. I think it's the drift thing that happens to some controllers.
Oh, yeah.
It went like berserk when I was playing Diablo 3. Like the stick started spinning around uncontrollably in the game. Well, the stick wasn't moving, but like it was acting like it was. And when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, I'd be swiping the touchpad to like activate the wind so I could see where I was going, but the touchpad wasn't working.
Oh shit!
And that's a big issue when there's no map in the game for you to follow. So I had to either restart the game constantly or like decide to spend another like 50 quid on a controller. And I thought, I'm going to get a black one because I wish this console was black.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I've already spilt some lemsip on mine, so...
Shit. On the PlayStation 5 or the controller?
On the actual system, I had a lemsip the other day because I was a bit poorly, and I dropped it, and it just splashed all over my TV and my PlayStation. So mine's slightly purple now, so that's something.
I mean, that's an interesting look. Lemsip purple, yeah. I was picturing yellow, and I thought, ooh, that's going to be hard to explain.
I'm more of a black currant lemsip kind of guy, yeah.
That's probably a bit safer to explain. People will be looking at, why is this a weird colour of yellow?
Hey, I told you I was excited to get it, all right?
Marking my territory so no one can steal it.
Yeah, Becky.
Fucking hell. And that's us for this week. Thank you for listening. So, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is a major one-up pod recommendation from us, I think. We both agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't worked out a scoring metric that we're going to do yet on these things. So I would give it a 8 out of 10, A-, 2 thumbs up, but not straining any thumb muscles to do so. It's a very good game.
Very good game. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I go 8 thwips.
8 thwips.
8 thwips. Or 8 Venom Blasts, maybe. I don't know, I'm trying.
8 thwips sounds good. So that's us for this week. Again, thank you for listening, and if you want to catch up with us on Twitter, we are at OneUpPod, that is 1UPPOD. And please like and subscribe, rate, review, all those things on your favourite podcast platform of choice, because it really helps us out. And send us money if you can. I don't know. If you know where any of us live, just post it through the letterbox. That's cool.
We've just bought PS5s. We need money, okay?
We are very poor. Please.
Yeah, feel bad for us, Becky.
You can DM me and I'll give you my address so you can send me some money because we don't have a Patreon yet. So, yeah. And that's all for us. Goodbye from me. And goodbye from Chip. I was hoping Chip was going to say something then. Doing a two Ronnies thing, which failed miserably. Sorry. So, anyway, don't forget to get a life and play video games.